Hello, Mr. Red here. Today is the 5th of May, 2020, Cinco de Mayo. That's right, Cinco de Mayo, and I'm celebrating. I'm removing some bees from a little pool house bathroom right here. I'm in Slidell, Louisiana. That's only about 30 miles from the Abbey. It's really just a little hop, skip, and jump. And these bees that are right behind this wall right here, they've been in there for a while. And if it's not these bees, bees have been occupying this space for a long time. The heat signature I got is big. I mean, it goes from the top all the way probably about 5 foot down to the bottom. It's a pretty big section of comb in there for sure. The heat signature, and I'll show you that before I get cutting out on it. But it's pretty big. And one thing I do know about this hive, when I came and looked at this job, it was about a week and a half ago, and I was talking to the neighbor, and she told me that a week prior to me getting here that the bees in this section right here swarmed because they landed on her garage right next door. So I know that our bees are swarmed. We probably got not a virgin queen anymore at this time, but a young queen. She may not be laying, so there may not be a lot of brood in there, but I can tell you, I can smell honey standing right here. I can smell the honey in the walls. So there's probably going to be a bunch of honey, depending on you know, how old that comb is and what it looks like. Looks like I'll be going home with some honey today as well as some bees. So I'll grab that camera, show you what the bees look like on the thermal image. Got to remove the plywood. Just one sheet of T111. Pull that off, and more than likely they've attached the comb to the outside of this or to the inside of this board. So I don't know how we're going to have to deal with that. We might get lucky and they didn't attach it to it, but more than likely they have. I'll see if I can maybe run my knife down there to cut it away as I pull it off. Try not to damage too much of the comb. Try to get it out there, you know, keep it all together so we don't get a big honey mess. So by the grace of God, we'll get these bees vacuumed out of here. We'll be headed back up to the Abbey, and I think what I'll do today is I'll give you a little show of what I do to the cutting of the comb again and releasing the bees. So it might take a couple days to actually do this video because I keep them bees locked up. But anyway, let's wrangle and kill. And like I said, that is a good heat signature. And it goes from the top all the way to the bottom. The bottom's got a little glow on it, as you can see, but there's comb that entire length. Let's go ahead and take off this siding and actually see what this hive looks like. Now before we do take that siding off, I'll show you where the bees' entrance to the hive is. Right where that water line goes in there. And you can tell right behind that water pipe there was a comb, there was the remnants of comb in there. So we've had bees in this location several times already. But these girls right here, this is their focus of our attention, and we're gonna give it to them undivided in just a few minutes. There it is. Like I said, it goes all the way down from the ground to the top. Wow. Impressive looking little hive. And like the lady said, these bees have swarmed because you can see the numbers are not all that large. So let's start removing this comb. And by the grace of God, we'll find us a queen, huh? A little virgin, I think, or a newly mated one. I've removed all the comb from the piece of T111, and now I'm gonna start going after these girls. And I did see one of those pieces of comb had a swarm cell on it, and I saw in this section of comb as well in these swarm cells. So these girls, yep, like that lady said, they did swarm out of here, and these are the ones left to pick up the pieces, so to speak. That comb is really old And this hive is small enough. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to scrap all this comb if I can get any brood out of it, but I don't know if there's even going to be enough in there to worry with. And I've got some frames of honey. I'll frame up some of their honey, but we'll fill up a 10-frame box with these things. But I'm going to give them brand new comb, let them get a good start since they're a new colony. This should be pretty easy. Almost all that honeycomb is out. That was a lot of honeycomb. The plywood is falling apart. The layers of the plywood are falling apart back here. So it wasn't like an easy way to scrape the comb off. Some of the plywood actually came, as you can see, came off with the comb. The layers are separating. The veneer layers are separating. But I did manage to get most of it out. I've still got some more honey down here. And this is mostly nectar up in here, and then we get up into a little brood up in this section, which is of course why the bees are still on that. I want to get the honey out first because of the mess that it makes. Now that I've got the honey sections out, the honeycomb out, I'm going to start working on pushing up into this area where the bees are, pushing our bees up, and hopefully our queen in the mix of them, and getting her in that. Let's go ahead and take out some more of this comb. Yeah, you see that? Got electrical wire right here. I can see it this time. There she is. There she is. What's that? Where I'm going to. There she is, though, right here. Woo! She's a big one, too. And there she is. I just grabbed her with my fingers. Ah, I missed her. I had her. I dropped her. She came out again. She came back to pop hour. Woo! Now that done. Woo! Thank you, Jesus. Yeah, look at that. Another battle to the very end, huh? I saw the queen, like 5 minutes ago, and I tried to get her, and she slipped through my finger. And she got back into the bees, and I had to vacuum, and there was only a handful left, and she popped out, and I nailed her. So thank you, Jesus. Let's finish up, and let's get out of here, huh? It's over. Picking up. Let me show you what we got. In this box, I put whatever tiny little brood there was in here, and just the old comb in here. This stuff is going to get melted down. In this box, put all that honeycomb that I've been cutting out, and this is what we're going to shoot at the Abbey, what I do with this stuff right here. I guarantee there's going to be a gallon plus of honey in that, maybe more, who knows, we're going to find out. And then, of course, our bees right here. Not a whole lot of them. But we're going to stick these girls in the 10 frame anyway. Give them lots of honey. Their queen back. These guys are going to be fine. Let's head up to the Abbey and pick it up there. Back at the Abbey now, and I've got the box all taken care of. I'm treating this hive as a swarm. Being that we're at the right in the middle of our first major nectar flow, I'm not really concerned about these bees being able to build up their stores. I've given them 3 frames of honey that I've had, and then I framed up another frame plus a little bit more of what they had, stuck it in the box with the queen. And I'm going to show you, now I want to show you what, with the release of the bees, how we do that, what we're going to do. You can see this screen right here, the screen that the bees are all on top of right here. And what happens is the box that I've got my queen in, as well as the brood and the honey in, it will sit right on top of this screen right here. What I do is, after it's secured to this part right here, I go ahead and I pull the screen, pull the screen out. And I just move it about 1 inch, 2, just to give about 2 inches of space behind here. The bees don't have to have all of this area taken out, just a little bit. And they're going to crawl up and get back onto the comb. that I've given them. Speaking of the comb, let me go ahead and show you what I've given the bees for this. Like I said, we're treating this thing as a swarm. I did not like the comb. It's all old, hard. So I'm giving them a fresh new start. And we've got a queen in there that I saw there's eggs in there, so I know she's laying now. Here's my setup that I've got. Now, these are just some of the frames of comb of honey that came from their hive right here, as well as some of the brood. And I looked on some of this, I don't know if in this one, but yeah, on the other frame. And there were some very, very young ones, and I saw some eggs in there as well. So our queen, who's right in that cage right there, she is laying, which is a great thing. This girl's going to come out of this stressful ordeal, and she's going to do fine. So we have this frame right here, as well as this frame. I did manage to get a whole frame, and you can see that's a terrible looking brood pattern. But she's just starting, and some of this is from the old queen as well. But she's going to do fine. But what I didn't like that comb, because I wanted to lay in some good comb. So what I've given her is some really nice drawn out comb that she could go ahead and lay in. I believe there's 5 of these frames of old drawn comb, and then these are the frames of honey that I've also put in there with them. So they've got stores, they've got brood, and they have a queen. So let's go ahead outside, set up our stand, and get these bees released. And now we're just about ready to turn the bees loose. But when I say turn the bees loose, all I'm really saying is I'm going to pull the screen out about 2 inches and allow the bees to move from the bottom box up into this box right here that's got their brood and honey in it, and then to get onto their queen. She's right there. Now these bees are going to be locked up. I'm not going to let them fly. They'll be locked into this box for 24 hours. And the reason I do that is a couple reasons. One, I don't want these bees to get robbed out by the other bees. And you can see we got a couple of hives right around here. Yeah, we got a bunch of them. And then just on the other side of the fence there's a lot more. So what I do is I allow these bees to stay locked in for 24 hours. At that time, that'll give them enough time to move up onto that comb, clean everything up, make this thing completely dry, and that's really important, so that when I do release them, which will be tomorrow, that they're not going to be inclined to get robbed out. And also to help with that no robbing out, my bottom board right here, which is the one I'll be setting that box on, I've got some really small entrances for it right here. So I make those smaller just to give the bees a little bit smaller area to protect. So I'm going to go ahead and put the inner cover on, and then the telescoping cover on top of that, and pull the screen. And tomorrow I'll come out and I'll show you what I do as far as moving the brood box in onto the stand and setting everything up. But for right now, let's go ahead and pull the screen. Alright, we got the screen pulled out. The bees are going to start moving up from the bottom box into the top box, and tomorrow we'll finish taking care of this. Right now, let's get back inside the honey house and crush us up some comb, huh? And my day is just about over. One thing left to do is take care of this honey. Bees are taken care of, comb is taken care of. Well, not really. The comb is still sitting in the ice chest. I'm going to wait till tomorrow and set it out on the back porch, let the bees feed on it, along with the comb that's in here. So that's the last thing I got to do, is take care of our honey. And you can't process this honey any other way that I know of other than crushing it and straining it. Because I don't have like the hands of the 628 dirt rooster where I could just take this whole box right here and just go and it would just instantly drain out into this colander. I just have to do it piece by piece. So let me show you the setup that I use to do my crushing and straining. First thing you're going to need to have is a colander, some kind of strainer. And with me being here at the Abbey, there's a lot of things that I find around here that are just like perfect. And I found this. I found this up here. Look at this colander. This is like a mammoth thing. And believe it or not, this really was something for a coffee percolator. The monks got a lot of their stuff from Army surplus, so I'm sure that's what this came from. Something from the Army. But could you imagine how many cups of coffee you're going to make in this? Look, here it is. It says Filterator Coffee Apparatus. And it's made in New York City. So I take my colander, and this is really nice. It's really deep. I can hold gee whiz. I can hold a lot of comb in this, not just a few pieces. And I couldn't believe how lucky I was. You need the honey to go into something. And as it turned out, my old uncapping tank fits this thing great. What's really nice about this uncapping tank, look, it's got a gate on it. So after the honey is strained through the colander, I can then open the gate up and run it through a filter and finish taking out the rest of the wax and other stuff that's in it. So, and look how this thing fits in here. Look at this. I mean, it's like a glove. This thing is like a glove. So that's the setup. And now we're going to start the process. Now there's all the comb that I'm going to be crushing. It's some really nice stuff. Almost all of it is capped. It's really great stuff. I can taste goldenrod and a little bit of spring honey in there as well. So we have a mix of honey in there, so it's going to be a good mix. And when I crush all this stuff up, this is going to be going to the monks' tables, and then the little nuns down the road, the Carmelites, they'll be getting a big bottle of this as well. All right, let's start crushing up some honey. When I crush my honeycomb, I like to wear these PVC coated gloves. They're lined. In fact, I mean, you see me when I do the cutouts, and I like these because one, you can wash your hands really easy. The honey doesn't get on them. And the other thing is they really are sting resistant, or they almost sting proof, because they're lined and they're thick. The bees, they can't sting you through it. And not only that, but they're pretty sensitive as well. I mean, you can feel pretty good with these things. It's not like there's a lot of glob of material that you can't feel. So you can feel pretty good in here. So what I'm going to do is I'll grab my section of comb, and it's not important that you squish the dickens out of this stuff. All you have to do, as you can see, it's capped right here. All you have to do is open up these cells a little bit. So it's just a matter of just squishing them out. You don't have to crush this thing. I just run my thumb through there. And that's all you need to do. And it works really nice with this new comb. Then when you get that dark comb, it does get very hard to squeeze that stuff out. So these pieces that don't have any honey in it, I don't even bother to try to do anything with those. And what's going to happen with all this honey in here, all the comb in here with all this honey on it, it's just going to percolate just like the coffee right through that hole, and in 24 hours this thing will be completely dry. That's some good stuff. All right. Wow. All right. It's really good. You should be tasting that. It's really good. So I just finished scraping out the ice chest. I'm going to put that outside right now. Let the bees clean that up. Tomorrow, we'll come back and we'll check on the dryness of this. And I know it'll be dried out by tomorrow. And I can show you how much honey we got in the bottom of it. So we're going to pick this video up again tomorrow. We're going to go ahead and swap up our hives, put the brood comb onto the regular stand it's going to be on, and then go ahead and put all this comb outside and let the bees start feeding on all that stuff as well. Well, there's one other thing I forgot to mention about those gloves. When you squeeze honey from a cutout, very often there's dead bees in that honey. Dead bees sting. They do sting, and those gloves, you won't get stung if you wear those gloves. All right, let's pick this video up tomorrow. It's only been about 14 hours since I went and crushed all this, and it's still a little bit wet, but as far as I'm concerned, the bees can have the rest of this. Get this thing, let me show you what the honey looks like underneath it. I guarantee that's a gallon of honey in there. Pretty nice. Just got to strain that. That's going on the monk's table this afternoon. I'm going to show you a shot of that when I finish that. That stuff, as well as the wax, the comb, stick it outside and let the bees start working on it. And while the bees are working on this, we're going to go ahead and get that box all straightened out so those bees can start flying. So let's go ahead and get this box set up so that bees can start flying. And I'm simply just going to take my brood box with the honey in it, the queen, shift it down to my double screen board, go through my bottom box, my vacuum box, shake the bees off, and close it up, and then release the queen. Got our box on our board. Now we're just going to bounce these bees down, and they're going to eventually make their way into the hive. Pull out one of these frames to give me a little bit more room. Push everything over. Here's our frame with the queen on it. Take her out. And we're going to turn her loose. And there she is walking around. Daughter's telling her hello. All right, let's get her in the box. Put everything back together. Bounce these bees. We're going to close this thing up. And that's how I'll go ahead and do the transfer from the VVac into the box. Now the bees are getting all the honey cleaned off the comb right now. And usually there's like 5 million more times of bees on this, but we still got some bees working, cleaning up this honey here, as well as the the comb that we crushed. Speaking of comb that we crushed to get the honey out, look at this. Headed over to the monk factory right now and put that on their table so they can start enjoying this honey that we got from this cutout. So that's all I got for you in this video. Yeah, it was a lot, but it's really the whole process of taking the bees from the location, putting them in the bee vac, bringing them back to the abbey, putting them in the boxes, squeezing the honey. I mean, it's the whole package of this one. So that's all I got for you this one. Thanks for watching. Keep on watching. I'll be making more. Don't forget, hit that thumbs up for me, please. God bless. Mr. Ed, I'm out until the next video.